If you've ever told yourself, I just need better time management, I want you to understand that's not your problem. It isn't time. You can't manage time. It moves at the same pace for everyone. What you can manage is your attention, and that's where things are really breaking down. You're not scattered because you're weak or something or lack discipline. You're scattered because your brain is overwhelmed by the constant flood of information, notifications, deadlines, conversations, and decisions that make up, really a modern workday. You're not procrastinating because you lack discipline. You're procrastinating because your attention system is exhausted. This is a very different way to look at this. And the worst part, you're losing focus because your environment is designed to hijack it. So today you'll learn why attention is the most valuable resource you have, how your nervous system handles information, how you unintentionally train your brain to be distracted, and how simple mindfulness practices really rebuild your ability to think clearly and stay grounded in a world that, won't stop pulling at you. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the podcast, Workplace Therapy with Dr. Abby Metcalf. And here we are. So let's jump right in. Why you keep losing focus and why it's not your fault. Exactly. Okay, let's talk about it. So your attention system isn't built for what you're asking it to do every day. I want to say that first and foremost. It evolved to focus on one meaningful task at a time. And as you know, we haven't been on this earth that long, humans, as compared to the 4.5 billion world years the earth has been around. So we're new to this, okay? How we're physically structured does not equal how the world looks. So, you don't focus on one meaningful task at a time. Instead, you wake up, you reach for your phone, you scroll through social media, you check messages, you answer a few emails, you peek at the news, you dip into a group chat, and then you wonder why your mind already feels jumpy before you've even brushed your friggin' teeth. When you wake up and immediately check your phone, you are telling your brain that it should be jumpy, nervous, and constantly scanning. That's what you're doing. I'm going to give you some very hard truths today that maybe you don't want to hear, but you must want to hear or you wouldn't be here. And some really simple solutions, but you've got to believe what I'm telling you. And it's because every swipe, alert, or notification fires dopamine. It gives your brain a quick hit of reward that teaches it to expect constant stimulation. And the problem is that your workday doesn't need stimulation. It needs sustained focus. Very different. So the cognitive overload happens when your working memory is holding more than it can process. You can think of that like RAM in a computer, It's the same. So when that happens, your brain can't filter information effectively, just like your computer can't work really well, goes super slow when there's, not enough memory there, not enough room for it to move, right? And to do its work. You become more reactive, less thoughtful, and more likely to avoid tasks that require effort, which is what you then call procrastinating. And this is why it feels so hard to start something meaningful. It's not because the task is too big. It's because your attention is too scattered to really get some traction. Okay. So, and this is why time management doesn't work. I always say, you don't have a time management problem. You have an attention management problem. This is probably how I approach every client, every executive I work with, every team I'm trying to help. Time management tells you to fit more into your day. That's what time management does. Attention management teaches you to choose what deserves your brain. Time management assumes you can predict or control every interruption. That's where time management is. Attention management accepts that interruptions are inevitable and trains you to recover quickly. Do you see the difference? Most people try to fix overwhelm by rearranging their calendar, and that does nothing for the mental residue of unfinished tasks, the stress of decision overload, or the rewiring of the brain that comes from all that chaotic input. So attention training teaches you to stay present, focused, and intentional, really, no matter what the day throws at you. Okay. And I'm trying, I've done I will link. Okay. So for anybody, anytime I mention the research, which is, I'm going to have a lot of in this episode, and there's an amazing free download for today, how to take this deeper. And there's some other episodes I've done on my Relationships Made Easy podcast that will really help you, productivity hacks. So I'll go there in more depth, and I'll link to all that. If you're new to the podcast, they'll be linked below the video if you're watching me on YouTube. And otherwise, they're on the website, abbymetcalf.com, under episodes. Find this episode, boom, and everything will be there. Okay, so just So let's talk about the neuroscience of attention. Attention is a really fragile and limited resource. You can't create more of it, but you can protect and strengthen it. That's what you can do. You can protect and strengthen what you have. Your prefrontal cortex is responsible for focus, for emotional regulation, and complex decision making. And when stress rises, that part of your brain goes offline. And that's why you lose your patience faster, you spin in indecision, you forget what you were doing, you jump between tasks without finishing them. All that's part of that. And I just need mindfulness and attention training are synonymous. And mindfulness is not a luxury, it's a neurological reset. Okay. And again, I've done many episodes on mindfulness that I'll link to. So, but let me say this, that even brief mindfulness practices strengthen your attentional control networks. That's what we call those, your attentional control networks. And research shows that even short periods of things like meditation improve your ability to stay focused, regulate your emotions, and recover more quickly from distractions. And it's really why attention training is so foundational. And again, attention training is not meditation. They're not the same thing. Okay. Mindfulness, self-awareness, meditation, they're all different things, but mindfulness and attention training are the same. Those two, I use them synonymously, but the rest, self-awareness and meditation, are different things. Okay. And meditation is just a form of how you can get better at attention training. And it's, again, really foundational. Again, I have a lot I can link to about that, and I will. I even have a little program. It's really, I think it's $10, $11 or something for how to learn to meditate for 15 minutes in 15 days, that kind of thing. Or download an Insight Timer app or something else. It doesn't matter how you get there, just get there. But I would say that's a biggie, but we'll talk about it in a minute. But attention training is foundational because it really restores the part of your brain that makes you feel calm, capable, and clear. And that's what we're trying to do. So let me talk about decision fatigue, because that is probably the silent attention killer, I would call it. Decision fatigue happens when your brain gets tired of making choices. And studies show that judges, for example, make better decisions earlier in the day and become more conservative as decision fatigue sets in. So, and you're no different than that. Every decision chips away at your mental bandwidth until your brain just says, nope, we're done. And that's when you procrastinate, not because you're lazy. I have so many people tell me they're lazy, and they are anything but lazy. So it's not because you're lazy. It's because your brain is protecting itself. That's really what that is at the end of the day. Attention training reduces that decision fatigue by giving your brain kind of these micro moments of restoration. And when you train attention, you don't burn through your day's mental fuel as quickly. And that's really important. You leave space for creativity and grounded decision making. Okay. Now, there's another thing I want to talk about, which is attention residue. And it's why switching tasks makes you worse at all of them. Whenever you stop a task without completing it, part of your brain stays stuck in the task you left behind. And that lingering, what in the research is called cognitive drag, is called attention residue. It slows you down. It clouds your thinking. It lowers your performance. And most workplaces reward multitasking. But the research is so clear on this. And I know I've had this argument with so many of my clients who are like, no, I'm great at multitasking. I get more done. No, you don't. I don't care who you are. You do not get more done with multitasking. You would have gotten more done had you not multitasked. If you're really effective multitasking, oh my gosh, you would be on fire. You would be able to cure cancer and the world's problems if you stopped multitasking. Because again, the research is very clear on this. Multitasking literally makes you less effective. Hands down, 100% of the time. Depending on the task, you can be up to 150% less effective. Again, I'm going to link to the research on this. The more you switch tasks, the more residue you accumulate. Your mind starts to feel foggy. The day feels harder than it should. Burnout creeps in. Attention, you think you're burnout because of the amount of work your job has. A lot of people do. The burnout is because of this switching all the time. This, if you again managed it better, your attention to the tasks that are being put there, I'm telling you, your life will change. Attention training breaks the cycle by teaching you how to finish what you start, or at least pause intentionally before you switch. Okay. Now, I do want to take a minute and talk about how your workplace trains you to be distracted, because it does. Most workplaces are unintentionally built to destroy focus, right? Slack messages, pop-up meetings, pings, notifications, someone tapping you on the shoulder in your cubicle, a coworker yelling across the room, a calendar that looks, I don't know, like a game of Tetris gone wrong, right? You're not failing at focus. You're living inside an attention minefield. And this is sometimes even worse when you work from home, because you are purposefully planning your day with divided focus. I have a lot of people plan their day with divided focus. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go do my laundry in between when I'm waiting for this meeting to start. And then I'm going to take it out later, and I'm going to do a workout. And then I'm going to, oh my God, I'm going to hop into the kitchen and grab a snack. I'm, obviously going to the bathroom, which is a good thing, but you know what I mean? But you go in the bathroom and then you realize it needs to be cleaned while you're in there, right? When you're at work, that's not something on your mind. You go to the bathroom and you leave, right? All of this pulls on your focus. Or just walking to the bathroom and noticing that the kitchen looks dirty. It's pulling your focus. I am telling you right now. I know it's hard to hear because a lot of people like to work from home. And I'm not saying you can't. I work from home sometimes, but you have to be really intentional about it. Attention training really, to me, is a survival skill. It's giving you a way to reclaim control, even when everything around you might feel chaotic, even when the kitchen is a mess, or even when work is pulling you every which way. So let's talk about what attention training looks like each day. Let's go there. Attention training is about creating small, consistent habits that keep your mind from scattering. It's not about, I don't know, being disciplined for discipline's sake. That's not what I'm talking about. It's about protecting your cognitive bandwidth so you're not spending your day reacting instead of choosing. You should be choosing, not reacting. There are many ideas of ways you can do this, but I'm going to give you my top 5 right now, okay? Number 1 is you have to start your morning without your phone. I can hear you gasping from here, but stay with me. I'm serious about this. When you reach for your phone immediately, you hand your attention over before your brain has even come online. And those first minutes shape your mental tone for the day. Again, the research says it. This isn't just my Jewish mother nagging. This is from the research. And you are not a unicorn. Stop thinking you are. Oh, but I'm different. No, you're not. No, you're not. Or you wouldn't be listening right now, because you would be the most effective. You're like, time management, I'm great at that. I have tons of time. No, give yourself a quiet runway so your attention settles, on you, not the world's demands. Definitely get a real alarm clock. That is the first thing I want you to do today. Stop using your phone. And think about charging your phone in a separate room from where you sleep. I would say that first and foremost. I have a Abby's step-by-step guide to starting your day right. Again, I will link to that. I will link to all these other, I have a really great episode on how to be more disciplined, which kind of talks about this willpower, emotional bandwidth thing. So I will link to all those. And if this is an issue for you, you will love those. Those are longer listens. These are meant to be shorter, but anyway. That's number 1. Get rid of the phone, get a real alarm clock in the morning. Number 2 is to start planning your day the night before to avoid early decision fatigue. This is a problem too. Your mental energy is highest in the morning, but only if you don't burn it on the basic decisions. And planning ahead removes the low value choices that drain you before you even begin the real work, right? So you've got to do that. And again, I talk about that more. I don't have time in this episode, but I talk about that more in other episodes. And if you want a whole episode on that in here, I'll do it. Let me know, comment below. Number 3 is to batch messages instead of responding instantly. Every interruption, again, pulls your brain out of the deeper state where meaningful work really happens. So batching communication trains your mind to stay with one cognitive task at a time, and it's going to really reduce the constant internal friction of switching. And to do this well, I highly recommend turning your inbox on your inbox pause. You know, the pause. Oh, that was a little New York of me. Turn on your inbox pause. You can't manage your attention if your inbox is allowed to ambush you all day. Using the inbox pause gives you back control of when you engage instead of kind of rewarding the habit of reactive checking. And or just like me, check your email twice a day. That's what I do. I check it twice a day and not first thing. First thing is when your brain has the most meaningful time to do work. Do not waste it on other people's agenda. Email is other people's agenda. So I don't care if you have to start your day earlier to then get to the email by 8 or what you have to do, but your first hour of the day, hour and a half, should be focused on the most important task of that day because you will get it done. You will be so effective and so productive. It'll blow your mind. But when you start the day looking at your phone and then hanging out and then getting caught in social media for a minute and then doing your email all morning, and then by the time you even start a project, it's 10 or 11 o'clock, forget it. You go home and go to bed. It's almost already too late. Don't do this. Number 4 is to finish one thing before jumping to the next, right? Your brain stabilizes when you complete tasks in full. Okay. Again, otherwise it's hanging there. So finishing before shifting really tells your nervous system we stay with what matters instead of reinforcing the reflex to bolt the second something feels uncomfortable or boring. I'm telling you, it's going to work. And I'll tell you, for me, I never say that I'm working on something. I set aside a time to finish that something. Now, sometimes that means I break things apart, like this podcast. I schedule an hour to do the research, right? That's an hour scheduled. So I don't say work on the podcast. I don't do that. I set an hour to do the research, and there's another time when I've already set I set an hour for deciding what the topics will be to do the research on that, right? And decide on my topics. Then, I get to an episode. And so I break things down so that I can finish things. Because otherwise I could work on an episode of this podcast. I could do 5 hours, I swear, 10 hours. I love to research. I love to write. I could do this forever, but I don't. I set aside time to finish something, to finish even a part of something. And that relates to the last one, which I'm going to say, which is number 5, which is schedule everything. There are 2 quotes. There's a legendary American entrepreneur, author, motivational speaker I had the great privilege of meeting 30 years ago, Jim Rohn. He's written a lot of books and he's not with us anymore, but amazing man. I love him. And he said 2 things that have stayed with me forever and I've used and I use with my clients and are very successful. 2 things. One is success is scheduled. And the second is run the day or the day runs you. Those are 2 things he said that I have taken to heart. And I want you to get in the habit of scheduling everything. I go into more detail about how to do that on this other episode, which I'm going to link to if you really want to get into the scheduling. But what'll happen, because I have everything scheduled, I'm always scheduling. Every time something new comes in, I'm putting it on the schedule somewhere else. Like maybe something comes in today. I usually start a short note, like a little note at my desk. Like I can use a sticky or something else. I never have a to-do list. I take that, as things come in, call this person back, finish X or Y, you need to write this up, whatever. I do that. And then before I leave the office, I put that in my calendar. I literally schedule it in somewhere. So every day when I start the day, I already have I don't have to do it the night before because I already have my schedule. When I start the day, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know when I'm checking my email. I know when I'm working on something. I know all that. It also means that I can say to somebody, hey, you wanted this, report, and I can look at my schedule and know when I can get it done. I say, I can't do that till Thursday at noon. I'm going to do that Thursday at noon. I have 2 hours scheduled for that. I'll have it done for you by 2. That's it. And so that now that person knows when to expect it. I don't have to worry about it anymore. It comes off my mental, emotional load plate because it's already in the schedule. Do you see that? And again, I go into way more detail. I will link to those. No worries. So let's wrap it up. Each of these small practices I just mentioned strengthens your ability to direct your mind instead of having it directed for you. That's really what I'm talking about. And small practices, I promise, train your mind to stay with what matters. And this gets easier over time as any habit, it gets easier over time. Because at first your brain will try to pull you away and you'll be like, this is impossible, but it's not if you stick with it. It really helps you build a more trustworthy relationship with your own attention, which is the foundation, I'm telling you, of meaningful, sustainable work. So to put today's lesson into action, as I always give you, I have a mindfulness starter kit that I've had around forever. It's so great. And it'll help you do mindfulness in seconds a day. And that's really all it takes ultimately. So download the mindfulness starter kit and get to work. All right. Have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you soon.